Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and peace be upon you this morning. So, in this video, we are going to learn how to configure floating static routing using Cisco Packet Tracer. As you can remember, if you've been following us keenly, you remember that we use this topology here to configure the normal static routing. And now we're just going to modify a few things to learn how to configure floating static routing. And before we learn that, I'll open our Google spreadsheet. I'll let you know that today we're doing number 9 part 2, floating routing. So what's floating routes or floating routing? Well, floating routing is a type of static routing, but it's a type of static routing that acts as the backup path, the backup route. So whenever the primary path fails, the secondary path will pick up. So floating route is normally used as a backup route. Okay, it can use together with the static route or a dynamic routing protocols. Okay, you can use floating route with OSPF, RIP, EIGRP, etc. Okay, so without any further ado, I'll open our notepad and let you know the step that we're going to follow to achieve this objective. We're just going to the continuation. We're going to use the same diagram that we used in our previous video. So if not watch the video, kindly do it first before you come to this one, because you missed a lot. Kindly, I will leave a link on the description part of the video. Click on the link and watch the first video first before you come to this video. Okay, all right. So on our notepad, we're being told that on the continuation part, add another router as called Australia between Kenya and India. So we have this router here. Okay, all right. So I'll just connect them very fast, save time. Remember always to use 2911 router. Okay, so if you analyze this diagram clearly, you can see there are two paths from Kenya to India. We can use a path through England, Pakistan to India, and a path through Australia to India directly. Okay, so we want a scenario whereby when one path fails, when this primary path fails, this will be our backup. Floating static routing. Very simple, very important. Backup routes. Okay, backup routes. Okay, all right. So before we do that, guys, you can see we've not allocated IP addresses between the Kenya router, Australia router, and Australia router and Indian router. So I'll do it very fast this time. So here I will say 40.40.40.0. So starting, copy. Then here I say 50. Things like that. Okay. All right, so I configure IP address here. I configure 40.1. Here I can configure 40.2, 50.1, 50.2. Very simple to save time. Okay, so I've configured IP addresses between Kenya, Australia, and India routers. So we can begin configuring forward and backward floating static routes from Kenya to India. So very simple. We just go to this router here. Exit. So we want our secondary path to be this one. Okay, so the primary path was that one. So whenever the primary path fails, we want the secondary path to pick up. Sorry. Okay, so that's why we have to configure floating static routes following Australia path. So I just click on this router and just say IP route. Then we want to go to India using the secondary path. We still write the network address of India 20 255.255.0 with a server mask of 255.255.255.0. So for a floating route, we will always use, let's always use the IP address of the next hop. Okay, so we use IP from when we're configuring static route here, we use IP address of this one as the next hop. Okay, so gig 00 is having 40.40.42. So we just say go through 40.40.40.2, and that's all. Sorry, I've made a simple mistake. This is just a normal static route. Okay, so what I'll do, I'll try to undo it and write it correctly. So this was incomplete, so we need to make it a floating route. How do we make it a floating route? I talked about what is called administrative distance. So by default, a static route has an administrative distance of 1. So we have to make it to have higher administrative distance, let's say 130. So that is now backup route. This is just a normal static route, but when you do it this way, it becomes floating or backup route. That's all. Then we go back here and write here. Now we don't write the backup because we don't have the primary, so here we just write a normal static route. Okay, you can remember on this router we had the first path going this way, and now when we created the second path we want it to go this way. But on this one there's no need to implement floating route here, so we just need to implement the normal static route. Okay, so here we just say IP route. The destination is still India 192.168.20.0. The server mask of 255.255.255.0. Then you want it to go through, I want it to be forwarded through this interface. The interface of gig 01 is having IP address of 5050.2. So we just say 50.50.50.2 and hit enter. We say that on this router we're just going to do the normal static routing. Okay, all right. So the packet has reached here. So the traffic has reached Indian router. Okay, so you can see Indian LAN is directly connected to Indian router. So that's our target. Now we have to give the backward floating route. How will the feedback be transmitted back? So we want the feedback to be transmitted through the backup or the secondary path. Remember, the primary path was the path was this one. Okay, so whenever the feedback is going back, it will follow this one by default. So let's implement secondary path using floating route. So we're going to use dig 01 and so just click on this one and come to CLI and exit IP route. Now destination is now Kenya. Total mask of 255.0. So I want it to go through the next hop, which is the IP address of this gig 01. Gig 01 IP address is 5051. Okay, so 50.50.50.1. Now this is the secondary path. The secondary path is the backup, and now it should have what's called higher administrative distance. So I'll give it something like 130 and I hit enter, exit. That's all. Do right. Right. So the traffic has the feedback or the response has left this router and is now on this router. So let's tell the response to go to Kenyan router. So we go here again. Now here we just implement a normal static route the way we did. So there we just say just a minute, we change this to 10 first. Okay, then it should be forwarded to the IP address of the next hop, which is 601. 601 is having 4041. Okay, all right, so I change this to 4041. 40.40.40.1, and that's all. That's all about floating static routing. Trace route the path from Kenya to India. Okay, so I'm going to try to trace route all what's called determine the path through the packet will follow from Kenya to India. I want to know whether it will follow this way or this way. So I just go to this router here, this computer, and I trace route to 20.30. You can see those are the paths. So the paths, if I can explain the path, this is the default gateway, which is the IP address of this interface. Then 10.10.2 is the IP address of this interface. Then 2022 is the IP address of this interface. Then 3032 is the IP address of this interface, and finally the destination. Alright, so let's see. Disable the primary path and test communication, ping and trace route. So we're going to try to disable the primary path. So I'm just going to do this. I'm going to delete this link and delete this link and try to do what? Try to test the communication again. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to ping that one. So let's just give it some time. If it will ping. Good. So you can see our backup is working perfectly fine. You could see our primary link was down. So the backup has link as picked. So let's try to trace route again. Trace route. So you can see. So let's just do it. This is the default gateway, the IP address of this route. Okay. Then 4042 is the IP address of this interface. Then 5052 is the IP address of this interface, and finally the destination. Okay, all right. So if you can just return back the links very fast, okay, and try to trace out again. I want to trace out again. Let's just give it some time now. There's changes, so it has to synchronize. You can see the paths have now changed. Very simple, guys. I believe this video has really helped now to configure floating or backup static routes using Cisco Packet Tracer. Thank you so much, guys. When we meet next, we're going to handle the last part of number 9, which is default routing. So please subscribe to this channel, like this video, share with friends, and write a comment below. Bye and see you again in the next class. Thank you.